Welcome in, everybody. Paid for play, but you got a new cast. And don't worry, Sam, Goose, and JD will be back. I don't know if it'll be Saturday morning, but they'll have their bowl episode and then they'll have their college football playoffs episode. But since there's only one football game today, we're going to hit on that one as well since it's Army versus Navy. But this is your paid for play college hoops basketball best bets for the day. Sosa will be joining us at some point when his internet gets back. Spin Doc might have a few write-in appearances and maybe a guest appearance at some point today. But Steven and I are going to hold the fort down for today's episode of Paid for Play. Lots of action potential today because you have a beautiful Saturday slate. You got some conference matchups tuned in or in there. You got some rivalry matchups as well. But the show is sponsored and powered by pickcity.com. Make sure to be checking them out. And you always know the show's powered by Daily Bread Media as well. And that's the YouTube page we're currently live on. So if you want to be like Rory, ask us some questions, drop in your best bets, anything you want. Shit talk me and Steven. We're here for it all. So jump over to the YouTube page. I'll have the Twitter up as well since we're live on the Paid for Play Twitter. So we'll check those out. We just can't feature your comments. But Steven, how you doing on this? Bro, it's fucking hot as shit in Jersey today. It's like going up to 70.
I know, bro. It's hot in the Northeast today. Kind of unexpected considering all these.
We're going to be hot. That's why it's hot up in here.
Exactly. The bets are going to be elite. I still don't feel right after Wednesday night. That hurt. Really should not have said hot sauce because I am not a hot sauce guy. Shit killed me.
I completely blanked on that. And we had to bring that up. Yes, Steven's a man of his word. He paid his debt. And, dude, I had the same thought as you, but I didn't have a super hot sauce. So I was probably just going to go with the Frank's. But when that game was right at crunch time, I was like, I really don't want to videotape myself doing this right now.
It was one of the worst things I ever had to do, just calling the bartender over, just being like, all right, I got kind of a weird request, but I need you to get me just like a shot of hot sauce, whatever, like the lightest thing you have. She was like, oh, all right, yeah, I got you. Lightest thing I have. And then she pulls out some bottle I've never seen before and pours it. I just take it. I was like, I'm dying on the inside. I'm like, yo, what was that? She was like, it's just something we got that's like hotter than sriracha. And I was like, that is not light. That's the opposite of what I was asking you for. But, with all those injuries and us only making 3 threes the entire game, to only lose by 3, that's one of those games where I'm just like, if we see them again with our full team, we're not losing that game.
Yeah, that was a back and forth. Anyone could have ended up pulling that one out. Home court looks like it pulled out through there. And then before we get into the best bets, there's just maybe one or two other games that we just want to tap in. So get few more people in here. But thank you to everyone. If this is your first episode, if this is a reoccurring one like Tennessee Shark, what is up? Get in the comments, drop your plays in the chat, and we'll let you know what we think of those. My man Goose ended up on the court Wednesday night. That Rutgers game was nutty. That's kind of where Purdue had 2 times to put the dagger in that game. They got up 10 with about 8 minutes left, and then Rutgers fought it back down to 4, and then Purdue got it back up to 10. I believe it was on a Stefanovic 3, and that's kind of where, with about 4 minutes left, I thought it was done and dusted. But shout out Ron Harper, just kept going.
Yeah, that game was insane. I mean, it sucks more for Purdue, I think, than it is good for Rutgers, because just the amount of people clowning on them, just see, this is why we don't rank Purdue number 1, because when you do rank Purdue number 1 for the first time ever, they just decide to go out and lose. I mean, granted, Ron Harper Jr. had his best game I've ever watched, and of course he had to be the guy to hit that 3 to end it. And so, good on Rutgers. They needed that win to kind of help balance out those terrible losses they had. But, I mean, it makes it tough for me to believe in anybody in the Big Ten to ever win a national championship again now. because they haven't done it in 20 years. And if you can get beat by one of the middle of the pack teams in the Big Ten, then how do you expect to win a national championship at the end of the year?
That seemed like it was just too much of just a spot where they were going to drop the egg there with the terrible losses we were talking about on our Tuesday show that Rutgers might be the most disappointing Power 5 team, but they changed that extremely fast. Steven, is there one more game you want to hit on today before we start dropping out our plays? Because we do have an 11:30 tip. I don't believe we have action on it, though.
No. I mean, come on, Memphis. I just said you were bad on Tuesday. And, I mean, I guess thank God you decided to fucking prove me right again. Lost to Murray State at home. And now, so you really think you're going to be able to bounce back from a Murray State loss? That's your fourth in a row, going into play Alabama and Tennessee in your next two games? Like, no, they're going to be 5-6 going into AAC play for a team that people thought was going to be in the top 10, maybe making an Elite 8 Sweet 16 run. The only way they make an Elite 8 run is if they're getting to the final 8 teams of the NIT tournament, because right now NCAA does not look like a viable option for them.
No, it is another rough year looking like it. Sure, they can just spank the American because it's a weaker conference and win that outright. But with Houston in there, I mean, at this point, Memphis shouldn't be laying double digits against anyone. We said that on Daily Bread yesterday, that if you laid that -10 with Memphis, just take a step back, reevaluate. But let's get to today's plays that we got for you. We'll answer a question first from Stephen Harrison, and then we'll start dropping our plays because the last one, Stephen, is the first one we'll get to. What do we think of Mercer? What do we think of Creighton? G-Men, so is that George Mason? Or is that the Giants tomorrow? Then Ohio State. So definitely like the Creighton angle there. Mercer, it's kind of a spot against Georgia Southern where I could see it, but you got the 4 in the hook, which I wouldn't like. And then Steven, let's get into your first play of the day here.
Yeah, I'm also on Ohio State. I think them at home is a good spot. I think, like, I've been fading Wisconsin a lot, and it has not been working out at all for me. But this team, eventually, when you know a team only has 2 guys, they're going to, like, there's going to be a game where they just can't keep up with some of the better teams, because teams are going to be able to key in on Brad Davidson and Johnny Davis. And once you stop them, I don't think Wisconsin has enough other options. So I do like Ohio State there. The only way I would look at Creighton is if I was taking them plus the points. I don't think they beat BYU. I think they're too young to beat BYU. Same thing with Georgetown. Yeah, I don't think Georgetown has the shooting to match Syracuse. And I think Syracuse kind of runs away and hides in that game a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was Mercer. That game's a little bit too much of a toss-up for me to be on today, just personally.
The Ohio State game here, going back to the toss-up of which Ohio State are we going to get out of there. They're a team that very much likes to play up and down to their competition. You're going to get probably a low-scoring game here. I don't think either team probably ends up cracking 70 here, and you're hoping that Ohio State's defense can pull through because Wisconsin's been clinical of not turning over the ball, and that's kind of where if their threes are hitting tonight, that could be the difference. The head-to-head with Ohio State in the paint against Wisconsin in the paint will be good to watch with Liddell and Kyle Young. Wall and Crowell. I mean, that's just probably, I think, what might determine the matchup here. The guard play, I don't want to say it's even by any means there either, but I think the big man of Key coming in, he could end up being the part that gets him over the finish line like we've seen him carry or get the team through here. Definitely would be taking the points here and not laying them. All right. So that's the first game that we got here. Let's get into my first play of the day. probably not on many people's appetite or viewing schedule, but we're going back to the Jackrabbits here, +6 going into Wazoo here, and it's a line where where I would personally make it around 3 instead of 6. So that's the main reason why we're on this one. I think we're getting a decent amount of points here. Washington State, they've had a hot start to the season. I guess you could say at 7-2, but I'm still not convinced in their results. And Flowers and Williams are all right pieces, but Jackrabbits, I think here is a spot on a big slate where if this was on yesterday's slate, we'd have a little bit lower of a number. Eastern Washington went into Washington State and won. I mean, I know they have a history of doing that just with the Jackrabbits pace, where Washington State will not want to be flying up and down the court. That's going to have to hide South Dakota's defense because that's the weakest part on here. But at +6 with South Dakota State shooting over 40% from 3 so far in this season, let's hope it stays hot because Washington State's hasn't allowed teams to shoot hot from deep, but we're taking the +6 at -110 with the Jackrabbits to start off our morning.
Yeah, I don't hate them +6, but I do think Washington State has the size to kind of win the game outright at home because Abogidi and Mohamed Goye, yeah, that sounds good enough, at 6'10" and 6'11", that are both great athletes. Like, I don't think, even though South Dakota State can score, I don't think they have two guys on the inside that can stop those two weapons for Washington State. So maybe a close game, but I do think Washington State wins. But I do like South Dakota State to cover.
And yes, sir. Best way to neutralize those guys is just to keep them in transition the whole game.
Yeah. So my second pick is actually going against one of Stephen Harrison's either leans or plays. I have Syracuse -4. I like Georgetown on the outside cannot match the combination of both Boeheims and Joe Girard. Like, there are not three guys on Georgetown that will be able to hit the threes they'll hit. And then Syracuse, Edwards has actually been a lot better than I thought he would be on the inside. Like, sure, Georgetown has Ryan Mutombo, he'll be good, but he's a freshman. I don't think he's ready for that kind of stage. So I kind of love Syracuse here to end up winning this game kind of big.
Ooh, kind of big, going against the home dogs here in Georgetown.
Yeah.
This is I don't know. This is one of the toughest ones that we see here because Georgetown always struggles with shooting over the press or the zone, and that's the one thing that they've done. This year, they actually kind of have shooters on their team, which is the one difference previously because Georgetown used to rely on, Wahab was last guy in the middle, but he's transferred out. So that's just kind of where their new piece of actually being able to shoot over the zone, getting them into transition because Syracuse does like to keep it slow in that zone, but Georgetown's going to push you there. It's just a little contrast of styles here, so I like where you're here.
Yeah, I'm just not ready to trust a team that lost to Dartmouth and St. Joe's, both at home this year, playing a better shooting team in Syracuse.
All right. That's Steven's second play of the day. My second play of the day is following a trend, I guess, because we're fading another Pac-12 team at home. And sure, Vranic still isn't playing. Not concerned about that. Santa Clara, money line, +105 going into Cal today here. I mean, Santa Clara's offense really hasn't – it's missed a little bit of a beat without Vranic, but still, I'm not too concerned about that going into Cal where – what's Cal's biggest strong suit this season? Who the hell knows? I guess it's just cleaning up the defensive rebounds and not giving teams a second chance on the boards there. But they're struggling to break 70 points consistently here, and that's the one thing that Santa Clara, I know, will do in this game. Even though Cal will try to make it extremely slow, we're backing another team with pace, which I just think a much better all-around offense here. Not too sure why it's sitting at +2, but I'm on the money line at +105.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people are just starting to respect Cal a little bit more after they only lost by 3 to Seton Hall. They beat Fresno State, and then you can't say beating Oregon State's a good win anymore, but they did beat Oregon State, and then Santa Clara is what, 1-3 since they started out 6-0, or no? No, they were 5-0. They're 2-3 in their last 5. But Santa Clara is still the better team here for me. I'm going to be on that game later, but I'm doing everything in kind of quarters today, and that's a 9:00 game, so that'll be in the late window, but I will be on that as well.
We got a question in from the chat here on Twitter. Do we like Kentucky going into Notre Dame here?
Yeah, everything I've heard, I do like Kentucky here. I think Notre Dame's been playing way worse than they usually do. Obviously, it's always up for that kind of there's always that one spot where Notre Dame comes in and beats a team they have no business beating. But I think the smart play would still just be to take the Kentucky -5.
Ugh. I hate laying 5 on the road pregame. Kentucky's the side that I would be on if you had to force me here, but I don't like going against home dogs in this spot, especially in a non-con situation here. I mean, when you look at this matchup, Notre Dame just can't do anything from 3 where teams are just nailing it against them, and Kentucky's been very inconsistent, even though this is the best shooting team I think Cal might have had from deep, and then they're not hitting anything either, and Kentucky's been defending that well. The way that Kentucky covers this -5 with ease, but Notre Dame doesn't get into foul trouble often, but today they run 7 guys. It's always been their style, regardless of who he has there. He only runs 7, 8, sometimes 8, but that's where Kentucky, they have the bodies to get them into foul trouble. So that's where I think Notre Dame, that's the one way that they get blown out and lose by double digits is if they get undisciplined and start taking some silly fouls there. How do we feel about Auburn first half -8? I'm sending Sosa the link right now. So the early game, 11:30 start.
I like Auburn. I guess I like Auburn first half -8. It's not something I want to play, but Nebraska has been getting out to some pretty slow starts against good teams, and they've usually been coming back in the second half. But I wouldn't take it, but I'm not going to be surprised at all the way Auburn likes to run to see them just come out and go up big in the first half.
I hate Nebraska ball. It's just I don't want action on it, but Rory is correct there. Pearl will be out.
You know what? That might make it a little easier for them. You don't have to deal with all his sweat. The floor is not going to be real slippery. That might help Auburn.
All right. So there's Steven's third play, correct?
No, my third play is Arkansas money line over Oklahoma.
Are we doing another hot shot bet here?
Nah, I think I'm good. I'm still trying to recover, but Oklahoma hasn't been a real good closing team in the games I've seen. Like, they've let UCF kind of come back. Didn't they? God damn, why am I blanking on who they just lost to? Butler,
which was a bad loss at home.
Yeah, like they even needed like a desperation 3 just to tie it after they were kind of controlling that game the whole way. I don't think Arkansas kind of gives them that space to even really get a lead. Like, Musselman's always been really good in the non-conference. I I don't really see why this game's a pick 'em. It's probably just because Oklahoma's at home, but I think Arkansas is a 3 to 4 point better team than Oklahoma.
Ooh, 3 to 4 point better team. I think it's truly a toss up. Home team here is probably the one I'd have to be rocking with. And you just have another contrast of style. Is Oklahoma going to fall into the trap of trying to run with Arkansas? Arkansas has been getting to the foul line at a great rate as well. And that's the one thing that Oklahoma does well is they don't send shooters to the foul line pretty frequently. Arkansas doesn't rely on the three, so you won't have to worry about that. I mean, they don't shoot it well. They only have that many guys who can keep it deep. But this is where, Steven, I can kind of see where you're coming from, because if I need a bucket and a game winner, and if it's going to be tied at the end, there's one player on the court that I want the ball to go to, and that's JD Notte. There's one player who I don't want the ball to go to on the court in this situation as well, and that's Chris Lakes. And it's kind of like Chris Lakes is the person who could swing this game either way, but our main man just rolled up, and I know he has thoughts on this one. So let's bring in Sosa, coming live from the iPhone. You ain't looking happy. Your internet's still out?
Fucking Verizon, man. It's the worst. The worst. How do I look, though? I look all right? All right, I look all right?
Yeah, it's very bright. It's different. I could tell something was up. You look good. Tell Steven why he's going to be wrong today by picking Arkansas.
I'm on his side, actually.
Ooh.
Let's go.
I think Arkansas got better athletes. They got better athletes. They're a better team. Listen, today is one of those days where a lot of teams are experiencing their first real road game. You were witness to this on, was it Wednesday night? Rex? Yep. A lot of these teams that are ranked. Here's what's puzzling to me. Oklahoma's unranked playing a ranked opponent, and they're favored, which makes no sense to me. Arkansas's got better athletes across the board. In a pick 'em, I'm taking the better athletes. It's also a game I probably wouldn't even gamble. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not like that. Not that it's like some like crazy match, but if it's a pick 'em for me in this situation, I'm picking the SEC team. I think Arkansas is better. So sorry, Rex. Yeah,
sir.
Sorry about that one.
I will make Oklahoma official since both of you are on there. And like I said, the best bucket getter in the close game late is going to be JT Notte. So I'll let you guys go with Woo Pig Sui today.
Fair enough.
Let's
we already talk about?
I was going to say, let's get to one of the marquee matchups of the day today, or one of the ones I'll have my eyes on: UCLA versus Marquette. We had this spread open at 5.5. And now it's up to 7. Let me see if it's moved any more since 7.5. On my book, you got a 148.5 total here. Steven, is UCLA going to go in and just roll Shaka today? Or do the boys, the Golden Eagles, do they got some fight in them to cover the 7.5?
I don't know. I might like Marquette a little bit more in the first half. Just because UCLA hasn't played a game in 10 days. Their last game against Washington got canceled. So that really counts as like a forfeit win for them. It's kind of like a rest over rust thing. You're going to an away game, a game where Marquette's going to have that stadium packed out. They just got a big win over Kansas State. But at the same time, I guess the lean might be a little bit more towards Marquette plus 7.5. But to me, Marquette's too young. At some point, even if they keep it close in the first half, UCLA has the veterans. They have the more proven scorers. I think that gives UCLA at least the win. I don't know if it gives them the cover. That's why I don't want to have a play.
The way from Sosa's big-ass smile to disappointment hearing Steven's thoughts there, because Sosa, I know you have a play in this one.
Hey, man, listen. There are 14 home underdogs today with a spread of 5 points or more. 14. Those are the only games I'm touching. Those are the only games and this is one of them. They play really well at Fiserv. I like the first half angle. Give me Marquette first half. First half money line. Not the spread, the money line. And then exactly what you said there in the back end is what I like to hear. UCLA better. Young, they're not young. They're a poised team. Close down the stretch. They got the bucket getters like Rex just alluded to in regards to Oklahoma. They got guys that can go get their own in a close game. Right? That would be my look as well. First half money line for Marquette. I like, Shaka's my guy. I wouldn't say he got a raw deal in Texas because Chris Beard has proven to be like a legit savior, right? Like he's every program he's been at, he's built it. They've ascended and they've stayed good. That's another thing too. It's like he puts a culture in place that works. I'm just on Shaka's side today. I think first half is the best look. And I do think that UCLA figures it out at the end.
Yeah, you guys both like Marquette here. The angle I like the most, and I'm going to see how much more this total keeps dropping before locking in an official play, since it's technically a neutral court because it's not Marquette's home gym, since they're playing at the Bucks crib.
At Fiserv Arena, where they don't lose.
Yep. This is where I see this game having 160 points. I think I see like an 80-73, 88-80 type of game here where it's going to be right on that number come the end. I think you're going to have a much better number second half once they get adjusted or a little bit after the first 4 minutes. But my lean in this one is I like the over 148 here. I think it gets through.
I like that angle as well. Y'all already talked over Georgetown. Y'all already talked over all those.
We didn't really talk much on Georgetown, but if you want to give out your side or any thoughts in that one, JD got Pacific San Jose State as game of the day today.
I like Georgetown with the +2.5. I also like them probably to win the game. I think Georgetown's smart enough to beat this zone, and I think that they can defend the 3-point line well enough against the Boeheims to really give them a good opportunity to win this game. I mean, it's a noon start, right? I like Pat Ewing to have his boys ready at a noon start. First official road game in conference or not in conference, but their first official real road game for Syracuse here. Give me Georgetown to handle business on a Saturday at noon.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of on the other side here. I mean, Georgetown's been losing to teams that shoot the three pretty well. They lost to St. Joe's. They lost to Dartmouth. San Diego State, that's more just San Diego State's defense more than anything. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, granted, the other game was a road game to South Carolina, but those first two losses were both in Georgetown. And you lose to an Ivy League school and an A-10 school that's probably going to end up a little bit more towards the bottom this year. And
it's Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Give me Georgetown. If this game was being played on like a Monday night or a Tuesday night or any other day of the week, I would be on Syracuse. Georgetown, this is the upset. This is how it works, man. Saturday is for the dogs. It's just and I'm going to stay with that. I'm going to stay on that trend. Like I there's 14 games I've targeted. I'm probably going to give out 5 or 6 plays fully from those games, but the road dogs on Saturday are what I target more than anything. I would much rather get points and be at the crib than bet on a road teams trying to cover a 4 or 5 possession game. Not conducive to being profitable on a Saturday, in my opinion.
All right.
Well, then
let's get into an under that I like here. We're rocking the under 135 at -110 here in the dogfight. Essentially, you don't have to say much more. If you've ever watched, it's 134 now on most books. Sorry, I got it at 135 earlier. 134 -110 will be the official play on the show, since that's where it's sitting. Both of these teams top 20, if not top 15 in defense here. Neither team can hit the three that well. Xavier tries to play with a little bit of pace here, but I think Cincinnati and Wes Miller will know that if they try to get in transition with this Xavier team, that's, I won't say playing a little bit over expectations, but they finally took the L. So that's kind of where it brought it back down to earth. I think this game sails under 134.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's the Skyline Chili crosstown shootout, so you know this game's gonna be gross and it's gonna go under.
Plus, nothing for this. I know y'all know this. Y'all know these games way better than me. Let me mute my mic.
And then like I think 2 out of the last like 3 or 4 times these teams have played. One time Cincinnati came in and blew out Xavier at Xavier, and then Xavier came back and blew out Cincinnati in Cincinnati. I think they got the blowouts out of the way. These teams look pretty similar this year. I think this ends up being a close game and it's going to be a game that ends up in the 60s. It's not going to be fun to watch if you like exciting games, but it'll be fun to watch. If you like
it's fun. It's an exciting game, man. They throw punches in this shit, man. It's different. This is where you have a few good rivalry matchups here, and this is probably the low-key, the most heated one that we have out there because these two schools hate each other. You got the new coaches facing off to start off a new rivalry this year as well, which is I like to see because Wes Miller's first time in this one. So this is where taking the under 134. The fouls at the end could make this get a little sweaty, but like what Steven said, a game in the 60s is what I'm expecting as well.
Yeah,
right. We got 2 games, marquee ones left on the slate, but Steven, what other bets you got for us?
All right, so my last bet is another one I think Sosa might not like that much. I like oh wait, nope. Colorado State's at home? No, it says Mississippi State's at home. All right,
it's neutral.
Okay. I got Colorado State -1. I think Colorado State's one of those teams that brings back everybody. They shoot the three really well. They're one of the best offensive teams in the country. I definitely think they win the game today, and really, that's all I need. Because even if they win by 1, guess what? It's still a push. So I'm really just looking for Colorado State to win, and I think they do that today against Mississippi State.
I'm never going to be able to trust Iverson Molnar. It's what it is at this point.
I don't have a play on the side, but I do like Colorado State's team total. I like Colorado. Just like you said, they run to shoot threes. They play like a D3 school. They run up the floor and they do nothing but shoot threes.
Yeah, they're a team where
they don't care.
They're a team where even if they go down by 15 or maybe even 20, I'm still not all that worried because they just ramp up the defense and they're still just shooting threes. And even if they're hitting like 35, maybe 40% of them, that's a win.
And you said this is a neutral site game?
Yep.
Yeah,
the last time they played on a neutral court, or one of the last times they played Creighton, they went 20 for 34 from deep in that game.
I like the play on them winning.
The last 3, they've been a little bit lower in volume, but I think it definitely comes out today. They're the top 3-point shooting team in the nation as well. They're shooting 44% from deep so far.
Mm-hmm.
Never hate on a Colorado State play there. They should be ranked. If they win today and they aren't ranked on come Monday morning, I'm not going to be happy.
Agreed. I like where the programs are. Like I said, like Steven mentioned, they're experienced. Give me the experienced team. Give me the team that I know is going to light it up offensively to get it done offensively. I think, yeah, I like that look.
2 marquee games left, and then we'll rattle off our full cards, and then that's how we'll wrap up this Saturday's edition. If anyone wants any other game, throw it in the queue. Maybe we'll throw it in there before the card. But 2 marquee ones, we'll leave the Big Daddy for last since that's late as well. We'll go to Arizona versus Illinois to start it off here. Who wants to take this one first?
I guess I can. I mean, Illinois has been playing a lot better since that slow start. But Arizona's offense has looked real good. I guess for me, it just kind of depends how Coburn plays and can the guards not turn the ball over? Because if the guards can finally start limiting their turnovers a little bit more, it kind of gets rid of the way Arizona wants to get out and run and get transition buckets. So I think if you can control the pace, limit turnovers, let Coburn do what he does, Illinois should win at home. But Arizona does kind of have like the size and depth at the forwards to kind of just throw a bunch of guys at Coburn and try to match that. And then their guards have been playing well. I guess my lean would be Illinois minus 2.5, but that game's such a toss-up for me. I don't want to take either side.
So this Arizona team, I still think is pretty fraudulent. Wins over Wichita State in overtime. Win over Michigan, that ain't that great. And then Wyoming's their third best win. The rest of the teams they played, I mean, they've taken care of business under Tommy Lloyd, and he's going to be a great coach at Arizona. That was a very good hire, I think, stealing him off the Gonzaga staff here. And Steven, it's the one thing that you said is the reason why I can't be taking Illinois at home here, even though I do believe Illinois wins this game. They are turning the ball over like they just don't give a fuck that they want it. They're just like, yeah, let's just keep playing defense. This seems to be a lot more fun. Their turnover rate, they cleaned it up in a 3-game stretch, but then they pulled it out against Iowa when turning the ball over on 25% of their possessions. 25% of their possessions, they turned the ball over here. That's kind of where that's just too tough to try to be backing at home against Arizona that has the guards that are going to make their lives hell. So if I had to make a pick here, as much as I want to go Illinois, I don't really want to say I trust the Pac-12 team here, but I do think Arizona comes in and gets a win, but no official play. Let's get into the big game of the day. 14 versus 9. We got Houston versus Alabama. And what everyone's probably thinking is going to be an offensive masterpiece and show. Do you think it goes under too, Steven?
I do. I do think it goes under. I mean, Houston's guard defense. Houston's guard defense is so good. I think Alabama's still going to do what they do. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. I don't think they hit as many threes as they usually do against a team with as good a defense as Houston does. So if it's just a lot of them throwing up bricks and Houston's offense has looked good at times, but not good enough consistently, I wouldn't want to take an under, but I do think if it's going to do anything, it would probably go under.
Sosa's getting the Woody page out because I definitely see he's writing some shit down on the whiteboard here. And the reason why, I know Alabama likes to run and gun, top 20 in pace. Houston, bottom 100 in pace, if not bottom 50 in pace here. And both of these defenses, Alabama's offense is stronger than their defense, but that's been the one thing. Roll Tide. All right, I like the Roll Tide angle. That's what I'm just thinking. I think we see a defensive showdown here, which no one's going to be expecting late at night.
Yeah, I also like Alabama.
You about to see Alabama come out here and torch these boys. You about to see it's about to be flamethrower city, bro. Listen, the biggest y'all gonna remember. Y'all gonna start talking about him. One, he's got the best head of hair in all of college basketball. J.D. Davison is one of them guys. Maybe y'all don't. Some people don't follow high school ball enough. Listen, J.D. Davison is one of those guys. He's the best guard on the team. If you really are familiar with the way he plays, he actually plays more like Russell Westbrook than any other guard. If you know his game, the jump shot seems like it's there now. If he can hit jump shots, this Alabama team's top 3 in the nation, in my opinion. If J.D. Davison can consistently hit jump shots, This Alabama team can beat anybody. And I mean, not just beat them. I mean, beat the dog shit out of them. Because Shackelford's good. You know what you're going to get from Jelly Fam. But I'm telling you, this kid, J.D. Davison, is must-see TV. By the end of the season, everyone's going to be talking about him. The kid is legit. He's a grown-ass man and plays the guard position like a dog. He, for me, is the tipping factor. When you got him coming off the bench, he's your first guy off the bench. He should be starting. But obviously
he's broken 25 minutes in every game, so he's essentially starting off the bench.
Absolutely. And they have I obviously I'm very high on their coach as well. I'm on Alabama here today. I like the coach better. I don't really fuck with Calvin Sampson. And I think the coaching matchup, I like Calvin, but I actually give Nate the edge. And yeah, I'm rolling with Alabama straight through across the board today. If I'm going down, if they lose, I roll with the ship. But I think they come out here and just torch them.
So what teams have done to stay in against this Houston side is they've just jacked threes against them. Teams that are facing Houston, more than 45% of their shots. Yes, 45 are coming from deep. And you already know Alabama shoots at least half of their shots from deep on the season. If they're going to be falling tonight, that's the way the Tide will get there. I mean, you just are going to have – it's just what Steven said with the lockdown guards. If J.D. Davison breaks a 15 or can potentially get a back-to-back 20 burgers because you've got his first 20-point game, if he gets it against these guards, then, yeah, he's arrived, and people should be talking about him come tonight if he can put up 20 against these guards and get a dub at home.
The kid's got NBA athleticism. Like, just off his athletic ability, he's going to get in the league. I don't know if, like I said, people aren't really familiar, but like the kid is a physical freak athletically. That is undeniable. It's the skills and drills that make you elite. This guy has gotten much better at shooting the ball. Obviously, we saw him go off the other night, but like I said, if the jumper's there, he takes this. He takes this team to another level, given what they already have in Shackelford, Quinterly, and just the players that they have already. Adding him to the mix next could like I said, for me, they're a top 3 or 4 team if he continues to ascend. I really do like this Alabama basketball team.
Yeah, no, yeah, I've been watching Davison for a couple years at like Beach Jam, all those big EYBL tournaments. And I mean, he really is that dude. The only thing I've kind of noticed with a lot of the freshmen this year is they've been making themselves seem worse than they are when they play really good defenses. I've seen it with Kennedy Chandler twice at Tennessee already this year. Like, guys are just still trying to adjust to that like college level physicality and that kind of press defense that they don't see from a lot of the other high school teams they play. And I think that could hurt him a little bit today. I don't think it hurts him in the future because he's got lottery pick potential. Easy.
Hey, Verizon's here. I'll be right back.
All right. But no, I do. I think this could be like that LSU game last year where people thought it was going to be kind of close. And then Alabama could just come out, hit an insane amount of threes and run them out the gym by like 35. Or it could be a close, low-scoring game. I'm not.
So there's one game, sorry, guys. There's 2 more games we're going to touch on. They're not going to be long. Analysis is here. We have a total sitting at 170 today. 170. Yes. Marshall, Eastern Kentucky. Total is sitting at 170. You have the 4th and the 6th fastest teams with pace. Neither team it's a defense optional game. 170, man. We finally got one.
Life is too short to bet the under, so I'm on the over. Even if it's just me throwing money away, I don't care. With offenses that great, I want to root for the offense, so I will take the over.
Yeah, that was just one that you have to point out because some of this stuff gets slipped under the carpet there. And then lastly, Steven, we got a question about it, so we got to talk about it.
Okay, so my thoughts on this game are a little bit mixed just because there's so many pieces still up in the air on who's going to play. Like Tyrese Martin came back to practice either yesterday or 2 days ago. He's a game time decision. And then the other thing is, does Kyle Lofton play or not? Because if Kyle Lofton doesn't play, you've seen how that can affect St. Bonaventure already against a team that's not as good as them in Northern Iowa. So if he's not there, I could see UConn winning. And I'm actually, did it say UConn was -4 or St. Bonaventure's -4? Because I'm not seeing it on here, and since I'm in Connecticut, my books don't show those games.
-4 Connecticut, 133 total.
Yeah, I do kind of like the under personally because UConn has not been scoring that well, but their defense is great. So if I'm making a play here, it's probably the under just because I don't know who's in and who's out. I will be rooting for UConn, but yet again, I'm not confident until we get fully healthy.
Yep, and it's not always the best game. Post-Press Virginia games, legs might be a little dead there. But that basically wraps us up for today. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through our cards, give out any plays, drop in any last-minute questions before we get into the one football game of the day, because we're going to cover the football game. So, Steven, you want to rattle off your 4 plays real quick? Or I think you got the 5th with the total at the end, but let's hear what you got on your slate for today.
Yeah, so I got Ohio State -4.5, Syracuse -4, Arkansas money line, Colorado State money line, that over in the Marshall Eastern Kentucky game. And then just because I've seen it in the chat a couple times, I personally like Temple a little bit more than St. Joe's. It's tough because St. Joe's has been playing better and they're at home and they're getting one. And Temple has shown they can get blown out. But just when I've actually had to sit down and watch Temple games, they had the real good comeback against USC. And then I know Vanderbilt stinks, but to still go on the road and beat Vanderbilt when nobody thinks Temple can do anything, I guess my play would probably be Temple. Obviously, I just go money line because I don't think it ends up as a 1-point game. So I guess it's just those main 4 plays, then the over, and probably Temple.
You have a potential St. Joe's regression spot after not being able to miss in the last game. And you have Temple maybe on a potential letdown spot coming back to Philly after being at the road there. And Temple, they currently are sitting 2-0 in the Philly 5 games. If they get the win today, they'll be sitting at 3-0 with a potential to beat Nova to take home the title. So, Steven, Temple's going to be giving it all because that Philly 5 title does mean something. I don't know, man. If Temple's going to hit from deep, that's how you kill St. Joe's and make the pick'em games just that.
I got Temple on the money line.
Who?
I got Temple money line plus 102. I'm rocking with the Hawkeyes today. Sorry.
Can't allow that slander on the show.
Sorry, my brother is going. That's how what's going to happen. I'm rocking with Temple today. Sorry. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, bro.
Sorry, you guys can bully me. We'll break double-digit wins this year. That's all I asked for this year. And then for Barely Lang to leave as well.
Hopefully. Let's pray. We'll say that prayer together, light a candle, whatever works for you.
So what are your official plays for today?
Official plays for today. Creighton plus 6.5, -110. Georgia Tech plus 8.5, -118. Temple money line plus 102. Illinois money line plus 102. Alabama money line -120. Those are what I'm rocking with. Those are my favorite plays. I like
That's
Georgetown
what he's got. I'm rocking with the Bunnies. So you always know South Dakota State plus 6 going into Wazzu. We got Santa Clara money line plus 105 going into Cal. we got the under in Cincinnati at Xavier 134. So there's your 3 plays of the day there. And then we got to cover this game. JD, you don't have the link, I'm sorry, but you're in our chat. You can give us what you think. Army versus Navy in MetLife, 3 p.m. kick. It's gotten to the point where this game has gone under so many times in a row that I think it's like the cliche thing to say it's finally almost low enough to take the over, but I don't think I can ever take an over in an Army-Navy game, even though we're sitting at 35 here. Army is laying 7. I mean, you can always say in the Service Academy matchups, you essentially usually just take the dog and the under here. We got our man JD, who will be back live with the crew for bowl and playoffs, so don't worry. It's just not going to be us on paid for play going forward, but he likes taking the midshipman plus 7.5, and that is my play as well.
I have to disagree. I think.
Oh, she heard dog, and look who popped up. She said, look, she knows. She knows.
Steven, tell us why you want to lay the 7, because Army's offense is that much better.
I really think it is. Like, I know both teams play their best game in this matchup, and Navy kept it close against Cincinnati, but it's just I'm a secondary Army fan, you know. I'm only like an hour from their campus. I gotta rock with Army. I really think they kind of got that team this year. It's mostly just coming off their last game. Like, Liberty's pretty good. Army beat them by 15. And I don't know. I don't want to sit there with a plus 7.5 on Navy, just being like, can they keep holding them? Because I don't think they can. I think eventually Army does just wear them down and kind of pull away.
So you got anything for this one?
You already saw what happened in my house. The dog said the dog. We're on the dog. We're rocking with whatever JD just put out. Like,
and that's going to wrap us up for today.
Shorty said she pulled up because she heard she heard a dog and the dog. That's what we do.
Oh, we got this shit going on again.
Not again. Good Lord. Not again. Come on. Move that. Yeah, come on.
Make sure, give us a like, give us a subscribe. This was college basketball's first Saturday slate. Make sure to be tapping in with us or the rest of the Saturdays coming forward with me, Steven, Spin, Sosa, other guests we're bringing on. It's just going to be like paid for play. You doing horns down?
It's other than that, it's always horns down now.
Seeing all those Pirates, man. But tomorrow, Sunday morning quarterback. That's where you can catch us. 10:30 live. We out.